The elder population is growing faster than any other age group. In Connecticut, there are over 540,000 individuals over the age of 65. While most enjoy a good quality of life, there are some elderly members of our community that unfortunately suffer from one or more forms of elder abuse. Elder abuse comes in many forms. Typically, elder abuse can be divided into three broad categories: abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Abuse includes the willful infliction of physical pain or mental anguish, or the deprivation of services which are necessary to maintain physical and mental health. Some examples of physical abuse are force feeding, the use of physical restraints, or unexplained fractures, bruises, cuts, sores, or burns. Neglect is a situation in which an elderly person who is unable to care for himself or herself is being neglected by someone responsible for providing services to maintain the elder's physical or mental health. Examples of neglect include withholding personal hygiene, food, water, or shelter, or failure to provide medical care. It's important to note that sometimes the neglect is caused by the elderly person. This is called self-neglect. Self-neglect can occur when an elder's behavior threatens his or her own health and safety. Exploitation is the act or process of taking advantage of an elderly person, whether for personal or monetary gain. Typically, exploitation involves the misuse or theft of money or property belonging to the elderly person in question. Whether in the form of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, elder abuse can take place anywhere, including the elderly person's home or the facility in which the elderly person resides. It also happens to every kind of person, from the wealthy to the poor and everyone in between. Elder abuse is a complex issue. Often the victim and/or the abuser hide the abuse from others. In many cases, the elder will not speak up for himself or herself. There is also no single behavior or personality trait that makes abuse obvious. The most telltale signs that something is wrong may be a sudden mood change or sudden behavior changes. Less common signs of elder abuse may be increased withdrawal or self-imposed isolation, the sudden inability to pay for food or to pay bills, or fear and anxiety around certain household members or family members. The simple fact is that almost anyone who has contact with the elderly can become an abuser. It could be a spouse, child, or other family member. It could be a friend or neighbor, or it could be someone who provides professional services to the elderly. Our company, the State of Connecticut, and its Department of Social Services takes elder abuse seriously. There are state laws and programs designed to protect seniors. Employees of home care agencies are what state law refers to as mandatory reporters. A mandatory reporter is anyone who is paid to provide professional services to the elderly, such as doctors, hospitals, nurses, clergy, assisted living and nursing home staffs, and those who provide in-home care, like you. Connecticut law requires that any mandatory reporter who has reasonable cause to suspect or believe that an elderly person has been abused, neglected, exploited, or abandoned, or is in a condition which is the result of such abuse, neglect, exploitation, or abandonment, or is in need of protective services, is required by law to report that information to the local office of the Department of Social Services within 72 hours after such suspicion or belief arose. If you witness elder abuse and knowingly fail to report it, you could be fined $500 and you could be found guilty of a misdemeanor crime if you intentionally failed to make such report within the prescribed period. In Connecticut, suspected elder abuse should be reported by calling Protective Services for the Elderly, or PSE, toll-free at 888-385-4225. PSE is the state agency that responds to the complaints of elder abuse. PSE's main goal is to ensure a proper balance between the elder's safety and the elder's independence or freedom of choice is maintained. PSE investigates claims of abuse and acts accordingly based on state law and departmental guidelines. Once you have completed the call, please call your branch office to let us know you have reported the issue to PSE. We all play a part in preventing elder abuse. As a caregiver, you have the unique opportunity to be part of your clients' lives. If you know or suspect that abuse is taking place, you are obligated by state law to make the call to PSE. It will only take a few minutes of your time, but that one call could make a world of difference in the life of the elderly person in question. If you're in doubt whether what you have seen is truly abuse or neglect, please call your branch office for guidance. It's the law, but it's also the right thing to do. Thank you for watching. What you do is important. Now please complete the quiz.